Guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing good. So today in this video we'll be discussing on how to restrict the release of a production order if it has not been approved by the concerned person or the concerned department. So let's see how can we enable this functionality in SAP. So we have the feature as the status profile in SAP, where you can actually define the statuses you would like to see in the production order or the process order. So these statuses are basically the ones which will be controlling the release of the production order. So here, if you see in the screenshot, we do have three statuses as an example. The first one is waiting for release, and the second one is release rejected, and then we have a release approved. So here in the position, you can see that the first position is given to the wait. So this is basically how the layout of the status profile or the approval screen should appear in the production order. So the wait for release appears on the top, and then we have release rejected and then release approved. So behind the status of these configurations, we can assign the statuses that are actually allowed into the production order or the process order based on this particular user status. So let's say with the status of wait, I would like to reject the release of the production order, or I would like to reject the printing of the production order, right? So there we can assign the statuses, I'm going to say the order statuses which are to be forbidden or which are to be allowed. So here in this waiting for release, I have actually rejected, or forbidden the release status, which means that I cannot release the production order if I have this status active. And similarly, I've done the same thing for rejected code as well, REJ status. But when we come to the APPR status, which is to approve the release, so I have allowed the release of the production order. So in order to release this particular production order, to say we have a specific head of the department or the QA team who has to review the production order, and then based on their approval, the shop floor person should be allowed to release the order, right? So then we are going to create an authorization code, or that will be assigned to the user ID of the person responsible. So only the user IDs which will be assigned with this particular authorization code will be allowed to change the status as APPR. So not every user in the system can access or can change the status to APPR, and they need to make sure that the user ID has been assigned with this authorization code. So this is only an example, but you can create your own authorizations as required. And once the status profile has been created, we are going to assign this status profile into the order type configuration here on OPJH transaction. So whenever we use the production order type as PP01 or any process order type, so based on the order type, the status profile will be defaulted, and in order to process the production order, we always have to follow the sequence of these statuses. So let's get into SAP and see how this works. Let us see the configuration of BS02, how it has been configured on the status profile. So let me open up the status profile that I am using here. So in this status profile, we can see there are three statuses. One is the approved, rejected, and wait for release. So here the wait for release has been set as the initial status by activating this checkbox. So this will be the first status that would appear when I create a production order. And the sequence of the statuses in the production order will be based on the positions that we are going to assign here, right? The 1, 2, and 3. So let me show you that in the production order as we go in more detail. So if I look at the system status that are allowed to the user status APPR, I just need to go into the details of it, or can just double click on the user status. So the APPR is going to approve the release of this particular production order where the activity has been allowed. In case you would like to restrict this, let me show you that as well. So here in the release rejected status, if I go into the detail, I can see that the status of the partial release of the production order, release, and also the release of the operations have been forbidden here. So these three statuses are restricted with the user status REJ. And similarly, if I look into the details of the wait status, you can see that all these activities have been forbidden or restricted when this status wait is active on the order. So I cannot confirm the production order, I cannot do any goods movement, nor I can release the production order, not partially or completely, and I cannot even print the production order if the status wait is active on the order. So I'll keep this open here, and I'll go to the creation of the production order and show you how it works basically with the user status. So here I'm going to choose the order type as PP01, and like I said, we have this configured in the order type configuration in OPJH for this production order type PP01, and we have assigned actually the status profile YP all zeros 1 into the order type. So here I'm going to create this quickly, the production order, and here you can see that the user status is coming as wait as soon as I create the order, so which is the first status, right? So in the configuration I've actually assigned the wait for release as my initial status, and the position of the wait for release should be 1, and then rejection should be on 2, and approval should be on 3. So that's how we see it over here, 1, 2 and 3. So with the status as wait, if I try to release the production order, it is not going to allow me, right? It says that the status wait is active on this particular production order. And if I change the status to rejected and try to release the order, so here even I get the same message that the REJ user status is active on the order, so the release is not allowed. But if I change the status to approved, here it is going to allow me to release the order, right? And in order to use this status as approved or to mark the production order as approved on the user status, we need to make sure that the authorization code has been assigned to the user ID who has to actually approve the release of the order. So let's say in the shop floor, the production supervisor is going to create this production order either by manual creation through CO01 or convert from a planned order to a production order. And now he would like to review this with the production manager or the QA team by looking at the batch determinations and the other specifications of the raw materials. So upon their approval, only then the order should be allowed for release. So then the user ID of the production manager or the QA department is going to have the authorization code into their user IDs, so that only they will be allowed to assign the status as approved, right? And in order to make this automatic, we also can activate the workflow functions, wherein which as soon as the production order has been created and the status wait has been assigned to the order, the workflow can trigger an email to the person responsible to review and approve the production order. So it can happen in vice versa as well, like as soon as the production manager has approved the order, so then an automatic email can again flow back to the production supervisor saying that so and so order has been released, and they can start the execution part. So now here there are two areas as you can see, the status number with the status, and then we have the status without a status number. So status with status number and status without status numbers, it purely depends on the configuration on how we have done here in the status profile. So let me also detail about how to activate the usage of the status with the status numbers. So here out of these three statuses, I'm going to assign it in a sequential way. Like the first status should be as wait. So I'm going to assign the status number as 10. It can be 1, 2, 3, so on. And then I'm going to assign 20 to the rejection status and 30 for the approval status. And here we have to assign the priorities of the status numbers. So let's say my lowest priority on the status wait will be 10. Why? Because we do not have any statuses below 10 here, right? We only have three statuses, 10, 20, and 30. And the highest status is 30, which means that the user can actually navigate from the status 10 to 20 and then to 30. So this is a sequential flow. And here in the rejection, I'm going to assign it as 10 and 30 again. And on approve, I'm going to assign 10 and 30. So this is my lowest priority, lowest status, and this is my highest status. So once I've done the configuration, and I'm going to save this, let's go back to the production order and again see how it works. Right. So here we can see that we have the initial status coming as wait. So now the statuses have been moved on to the top into the status with status number section. That's based on the configuration we have just changed. So now here we can see that the user can actually move from the status of wait to rejection and then to approve. So this is happening why? Because we have assigned the lowest number as 10 and the highest number as 30. So he can actually move from wait to rejection and to approve. What if I'm going to assign the lowest and the highest number as 10 itself? Okay. So I expect to see that the status cannot be changed from wait to any of these two statuses. Why? Because the max level I can move on from this status is only the level 10. So I should always sit on the wait status. So let me try that. So I'm on waiting here and I click on rejection. So now it is telling me that the rejection code is not allowed here. Why? Because I only have the highest level as 10 itself. So what if I'm going to assign the status of the approval as 30 here as my lowest and the highest as 30. So it means that whenever the user is going to approve this production order with this particular status, okay, let me come back here with a new order. Okay. So in the configuration, we have 30 itself, and we cannot actually navigate back to rejection or wait if we have reached to approved status. So from wait, I can change it to rejection. Okay, I should have changed, saved this configuration. Okay. So now I'm able to navigate to rejection. Why? Because my lowest is 10 and the highest is 30, and then to approved. But now coming back from approved to rejected, I cannot do it. Why? Because it only allows me to move the status from 30 to 30 itself, and I cannot go less than 30. But if I'm going to assign the lowest number as 20 here and save the change, so let's see what happens. And the system is allowing me to move the status from approved to rejected, but it should not allow me to change it to wait. Why? Because it is not configured to use the status as 10 for the lowest number, right? So in this way, we can actually control the release or authorizing the production order during the release of the production order. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also click on the bell icon to receive updates. We'll meet again soon in our next video. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.